translate this headline for me. It's a clear headline. China to abolish re-education through labor. I believe that's a holdover from Mao.
It is.
From the Cultural Revolution.
It is.
It's stunning.
It's a way that they've dealt with political dissidents.
That's called putting people in jail, right?
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
In a gulag.
And in camps. I mean, they've been a enormous, what we would call correctional system. That's our term in the U.S. as well. What this is a sign of is that the new Chinese president, Xi Jinping, appreciates the seriousness of their internal problems, and he's moving more quickly than many China watchers expected. Typically, a new president, a new premier, when they came into power in China, would take a little bit longer. Would take a year or two to build consensus before doing things. He's acting more quickly.
But at the same time, we do learn from Bloomberg News that the document says the party plans to implement the reforms by 2020. So there is still some time before this.
Well, and they still have a 5-year plan. I mean, they are a planned economy and planned society to a certain extent and in certain areas. We don't do that anymore. We can't even plan with a defense budget for 3 months.
Talking about implementation, though, Mike, what are the problems in actually getting all of this done when we're getting the details?
Well, you got to remember that it's not the government that runs the country. It is the Communist Party, and each cell in the Communist Party, as you go up the ladder from the localities to the Politburo, has its own priorities, and so it's not as easy to command and control from the top to the very bottom. And the Chinese have had a real problem with cities and towns kind of going their own way, because the way you get promoted is to make yourself look good there, not through elections.
Overhanging this, and Richard, you're so good at this, is the Chinese military and their new projection. How much do we know about China's military when we see this headlines, or is it as mysterious, Mike, as economic growth in China?
They have a comprehensive military modernization program, but they were starting at sort of museum relic level. So what they're doing now and in the last decade is really very significant investment, high tech, but they do not have the capacity to project power very far beyond their shores, as we saw in the Philippines, where they're not present. They're not helping.
But critically, and very quickly here, and we'll come back to this, guys like you guessed wrong on the Soviet sophistication in 1989. We thought they were a lot fancier than they were, right?
Yes, and the larger problem, we didn't think that the internal problems and contradictions, as they said, were as severe. They did have a lot of military capability. Some of it still operates, and a lot of it was nuclear weapons pointed directly at the heartland, which we took pretty seriously. But the key question was, how are they doing as a society, and are they holding together?
And where's China in that? They're holding together?
Yes, but they have risk.